War and Peace, Book 5, Chapter 9, read for LibriVox.org by Eva Harnick. Bilibin was now at army headquarters in a diplomatic capacity, and though he wrote in French and used French jests and French idioms, he described the whole campaign with a fearless self-censure and self-derision genuinely Russian. Bilibin wrote that the obligation of diplomatic discretion tormented him, and he was happy to have in Prince Andrew a reliable correspondent to whom he could pour out the bile he had accumulated at the sight of all that was being done in the army. The letter was old, having been written before the battle at Preußisch-Eylau. "Since the day of our brilliant success at Austerlitz," wrote Bilibin, "as you know, my dear Prince, I never leave headquarters. I have certainly acquired a taste for war, and it is just as well for me. What I have seen during these last 3 months is incredible. I begin Abovo. The enemy of the human race, as you know, attacks the Prussians. The Prussians are our faithful allies who have only betrayed us 3 times in 3 years. We take up their cause, but it turns out that the enemy of the human race pays no heed to our fine speeches, and in his rude and savage way throws himself on the Prussians without giving them time to finish the parade they had begun, and in 2 twists of the hand he breaks them to smithereens and installs himself in the palace at Potsdam. I most ardently desire," writes the King of Prussia to Bonaparte, "that your Majesty should be received and treated in my palace in a manner agreeable to yourself, and insofar as circumstances allowed, I have hastened to take all steps to that end. May I have succeeded." The Prussian generals pride themselves on being polite to the French, and lay down their arms at the first demand. The head of the garrison at Glogau, with 10,000 men, asks the King of Prussia what he is to do if he is summoned to surrender. All this is absolutely true. In short, hoping to settle matters by taking up a warlike attitude, it turns out that we have landed ourselves in war, and, what is more, in war on our own frontiers with and for the King of Prussia. We have everything in perfect order. Only one little thing is lacking, namely a commander-in-chief. As it was considered that the Austerlitz success might have been more decisive had the commander-in-chief not been so young, all our octogenarians were reviewed, and of Prozorovsky and Kamensky the latter was preferred. The general comes to us Suvorov-like, in a kibitka, and is received with acclamations of joy and triumph. On the 4th, the first courier arrives from Petersburg. The mails are taken to the field marshal's room, for he likes to do everything himself. I am called in to help sort the letters and take those meant for us. The field marshal looks on and waits for letters addressed to him. We search, but none are to be found. The field marshal grows impatient and sets to work himself and finds letters from the Emperor to Count T, Prince V, and others. Then he bursts into one of his wild furies and rages at everyone and everything, seizes the letters, opens them and reads those from the Emperor addressed to others. Ah, so that's the way they treat me. No confidence in me. Ah, ordered to keep an eye on me. Very well then, get along with you. So he writes the famous order of the day to General Benningsen. I am wounded and cannot ride and consequently cannot command the army. You have brought your army corps to Pultusk, routed. Here it is exposed and without fuel or forage, so something must be done, and as you yourself reported to Count Buxhowden yesterday, you must think of retreating to our frontier, which do today. From all my riding, he writes to the Emperor, I have got a saddle sore, which coming after all my previous journeys quite prevents my riding and commanding so vast an army, so I have passed on the command to the general next in seniority, Count Buxhowden, having sent him my whole staff and all that belongs to it, advising him, if there is a lack of bread, to move farther into the interior of Prussia, for only 1 day's ration of bread remains, and in some regiments none at all, as reported by the division commanders Ostermann and Sedmoretsky, and all that the peasant had has been eaten up. I myself will remain in hospital at Ostrolenka till I recover. In regard to which I humbly submit my report with the information that if the army remains in its present bivouac another fortnight, there will not be a healthy man left in it by spring. Grant leave to retire to his country seat to an old man who is already in any case dishonored by being unable to fulfill the great and glorious task for which he was chosen. I shall await your most gracious permission here in hospital, that I may not have to play the part of a secretary rather than commander in the army. My removal from the army does not produce the slightest stir. A blind man has left it. There are thousands such as I in Russia. The field marshal is angry with the Emperor, and he punishes us all. Isn't it logical? This is the first act. Those that follow are naturally increasingly interesting and entertaining. After the field marshal's departure, it appears that we are within sight of the enemy and must give battle. Buxhowden is commander-in-chief by seniority, but General Benningsen does not quite see it, more particularly as it is he and his corps who are within sight of the enemy, and he wishes to profit by the opportunity to fight a battle on his own hand, as the Germans say. He does so. This is the Battle of Pultusk, which is considered a great victory, but in my opinion was nothing of the kind. We civilians, as you know, have a very bad way of deciding whether a battle was won or lost. Those who retreat after a battle have lost it, is what we say, and according to that, it is we who lost the Battle of Pultusk. In short, we retreat after the battle, but send a courier to Petersburg with news of a victory, and General Benningsen, hoping to receive from Petersburg the post of commander-in-chief as a reward for his victory, does not give up the command of the army to General Buxhowden. During this interregnum, we begin a very original and interesting series of maneuvers. Our aim is no longer, as it should be, to avoid or attack the enemy, but solely to avoid General